And welcome to Impact 2026, our continuing conversation where we talk about all types of different topics from current events, from uh, race topics, from religion, everything that you can think of. And as always, we consider this that place where you can come and speak freely about the things that you want to talk about, the opinions that you have. And we ask that you go ahead and feel free to do that by typing your questions and your comments into the comment section. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, not really 100% sure if Facebook can be seen right now, but Facebook or YouTube, feel free to join us and type your comments and your questions into the comment section and be a part of the conversation. Oh, right. As always, I like to remind people of the other offerings that we have. And starting with Thursday nights. We have Thursday Thirst. That's our weekly Bible study. We have that at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's on Facebook and YouTube. So anybody can tune in. That's a weekly Bible study, a really good Bible study, an opportunity to really kind of go into the Bible. On Sundays at 10 o'clock, we have worship service. That's 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, of course, for those of you who may be on different sides of the country. That is in person and on Facebook and YouTube. So if you are in the area, you can come to the address that's on our screen, but it's also available on Facebook and YouTube. And then on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, we have a time of prayer from 7 to 7:45. That you do on your own, but you do it with the whole entire ministry. We are praying from sometime between 7 and 7:45, and if you can pray as well, sometime between 7 and 7:45. That means you're praying with the ministry. All right, and then of course we have Impact 2026, where you are right now. Okay. Today, what we're going to talk about is something that people have been talking about a lot. Now, it is the war in Iran. Like I haven't really touched on it too much. Didn't want to touch on it until there was actually some information. And as much as we avoided it, there's been a lot going on. There wasn't just not a lot of information. The facts of the matter is we don't have a true reason for why the United States decided to bomb Iran. We have no true reason. The president of the United States has said a whole bunch of different things, whether it's talking about they had nuclear weapons, or they were getting ready to have an attack, or we just follow behind Israel, or we want a regime change. We have all of these different types of theories and things going around, but there really is no facts there. People really don't know what we're doing. One moment and one day we're talking about we're just bombing. The next moment we're sending troops to the area. The next moment we're asking Congress for $200 billion. It's just a mess. One moment it's just us and Israel, and we're just going in there. The next moment the president is begging all the European countries and NATO countries to help out, and the next moment he's saying we don't need any of y'all help. It's pure craziness. So it's not a lot other than a humanitarian issue, the fact that we're just bombing and killing people. There wasn't a lot there to talk about. And the situation really hasn't changed all that much, with the exception of the fact that today we got some news that the president says we will be there maybe 2 to 3 more weeks, and then we're gone. And as a result, the stock market moved and all this kind of stuff. Now, what we do know factually, this is factual information, that this whole thing has been a manipulation of the stock market. Whether intentional or unintentional, the stock market has gone up and down based on tweets, based on just statements, based on rumors. It's gone crazy. And so you're talking trillions with a T, trillions of dollars moving every single day based on what's been going on out in the Middle East. And based on just, tweets and rumors and reports that have been going on from this administration. And so we do know that it's been a moneymaker or money mover, let's say that, more so for a lot of people. It's just been moving a lot of money around. People's 401ks have gone down. The price of gas has gone up. We do know there's been a lot of manipulation. So that's what we know. And so it was difficult to kind of, just approach it and talk about like, well, what are we going to talk about? But then, so we know that's about to end. But then we also had, from our standpoint, a religious component in conversation. Two big things happened over the weekend, and that's kind of where we'll start and we'll kind of lean into it. One, for the first time, they said in centuries, Christians in Israel could not do their the traditional Palm Sunday activities. They had to stay away from holy places. And not only just Christians, but Muslims as well. So a lot of and some Jews as well. I don't want to put it out. They had to stay away from some of their religious places. One of the big stories, though, was about the Christians not being able to do their Palm Sunday activities. And first time in centuries. I don't know if you understand what a century is. We're talking about hundreds of years. That they weren't allowed to do their thing on Palm Sunday. And we don't know what type of Easter celebrations will be allowed to happen in Israel as well. Because right now it's up in the air. Israel said, it's for safety. These places will be targeted, whatever. But it's a big issue for some people. When you're talking about why all of a sudden, with all the things that have gone on, this is the first time in centuries that Christians that lived in Israel or pre-Israel in that area weren't able to do their traditional activities. And so because Israel and the United States decided to bomb some other people, all of a sudden now the Christians in the area can't do Palm Sunday. The second thing that happened was that the Pope decided to address this situation on Palm Sunday, and he made a statement that has gone on. That in his statement, and I'm going to just give you a summation of the statement, which basically he said that the prayers of people who are waging war, God does not listen to the prayers of the people who are waging war. And to kind of the meaning of it, based on how he was saying it, basically was, look, if you're out here saying, God bless us to go over here and blow these people up and do this war, he's not hearing that. He's not listening to that. Because that was your decision. It's not like it's a holy war or a war that he told you to go into. This is your decision. And so as all these people are talking about, all these people will be like, pray for the soldiers and pray for the leaders and their decisions and going into Iran and whatever. The Pope was saying, nah, you're not listening to that mess because y'all over here raging war. God is a God of peace. Jesus is a God of peace. And y'all are trying to be warmongers. So those are two big things that have happened. And so with that being said, what we're talking about today is, from a Christian standpoint, how should we be looking at this war, this conflict, whatever you want to call it, since one day the president wants to call it war, the next day he wants to say it's not a war, and Congress is not giving any war powers, so we don't know what this is technically is, and the fact that if we're leaving in 2 to 3 weeks, that basically everybody has said that the only people who look good in this situation is Iran. They've gained power. Yes, you killed some leaders. You did not change the leadership structure or the regime. And now they are going to start charging people to go through their waterways. In the Strait of Hormuz, that's what everybody's been talking about, their waterways. They've now decided that they're going to charge people to go through there. Talking about $2 million a ship. So now they're in an even better situation. And the other regional powers have looked at them and said, well, the United States came in, Israel came in and threw their bombs. Couldn't shake them. And so Iran looks even more powerful than it ever has. And they will be making more money than they ever had before, due to the fact that they will be controlling the waterways. And so it looks like the United States just took a big, it's not a war, technically, I guess. We lost the war, lost the battle, lost the skirmish, lost the confrontation, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the goal was, but whatever it wasn't accomplished. And even when they're talking about, they had a nuclear weapon, they were going to be ready to use it. They don't know where any of their nuclear, uranium, all of their good nuclear, uh, not the bombs, but the actual nuclear material. They said they don't know where it's at. They don't have a clue. It could be underground. It could be buried. They don't have a clue. So none of the stuff that they said didn't change the leadership structure. Didn't do the nuclear stuff. So basically, Iran looks really good right now to themselves, and they look really powerful. Like they look even more powerful to the other Middle Eastern countries right now. And so it looks all around bad for us, or all around bad for the president of the United States. Not us, because we're not the fools who decided to do this. All right, let's go to some comments. I believe part of the reason was because Trump wanted to be in a war, just to show that he is a tough guy. Yeah, probably so. Because it was a guy that that was listening to the other day, and he was an advisor from he's been an advisor over previous administrations when it comes to world conflicts. It's not a military guy, but just more of like a State Department type person. And what he was saying basically was that what happens to a lot of these people when they become president is that they see all of the military might, and that's why sometimes it's better to have somebody who had some military background. But you see all the military might, you get enamored with all of the tanks and all the missiles and all of the planes and everything that we have. And he said you just see all of this and you think, wow, we got the most powerful, most sophisticated army in the whole entire world. Military, all of our resources. We could just go in and dominate people. And so they say that's what happens to people when they come into the office of the president, and they realize and they get that in their head. But what they soon realize, as soon as they get into a conflict, that yeah, you may have the best stuff, but the best stuff is just a little bit better than everybody else's stuff, because everybody else has different stuff. And so we went over there with all of our big giant bombs, and the reality of the matter is they had different stuff. They had all of these drones. We went over there with all of our bombs, and they have different stuff because they don't need to fight that kind of war. You want to come in on the ground. You can bomb all day if you don't come in on the ground. And so they said, what happens with these presidents is they fall in love with the fact that they got all these nice shiny toys, and they don't realize that it's big and bad as you think it is. It's not. It's not all that. It's okay, but it's not all that. You can't win a war by just bombing folk, unless you have just like a really small country without any resources. You can just take it over. And so I think that's what happened. I think you're right with the conversation here, where you're saying just wanted to be in a war. He thought he had all of the best tools, and then shortly realized you don't. That stuff doesn't matter. War is a lot more complicated than what you think it is. And so yeah, I think it was just got a foolish guy, foolish type behavior. Doesn't listen to the advisors, doesn't listen to the military people, doesn't have any military background, just doesn't know what he's doing. We need to keep in mind that Israel of today is not the Israel of the Bible. The Israel of the Old Testament was destroyed, and only Judah survived. Yeah, I think that's one of the sticking points, I think, for a lot of people. These aren't the same people that you see in the Bible. These aren't the same Israelis. These aren't the same Jews. This isn't the same situation. This is a different situation. And that's why I think that a lot of people, I know a lot of people that I talk to, they separate the two. There's a significant difference between Jews and Israel. There's a significant difference between the state or country, whatever you want to call it, of Israel, the leadership of Israel, and even the Jews that live in that area. And so when you're dealing with a government that has priorities, war priorities, they just want to take stuff over. They're trying to expand their borders. Even right now, they were talking about annexing some of Lebanon as they're fighting. So they're trying to expand their borders right now. That has nothing to do, in my opinion, I think it has nothing to do with Israel of the Bible. It has nothing to do with the Jews of the Bible. And this is I think you're fooling yourself if you're considering that these people have some kind of mandate, from God. That these are some people who are just highly religious. No, um, this is not that. This is a business deal. These are politicians. These are just, the state of Israel is not anything. I would say not anything special. It's a big difference between Israel and Israel of the Bible. So that really good comment. And so, but then that comes to the thought. All right, so the Pope is out here saying that we're not, God's not listening, and so to us as we try to go through and validate our reason and rationale for bombing people and killing people, that we're not going through on the right side. There's nothing good here that we're doing. We're just out here trying to flex power and do things. And then the unfortunate part is, based on polling, the majority of the United States is not on board with this. But even more so, you have a guy who has talked all of this Christianity stuff, and you have all these people who are evangelicals or Christian Christian nationalists who've been talking all of this mess for the past couple of years, talking about how Trump is representing them and he's representing Christianity and blah 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 blah. And the whole time, we're looking worse and worse and worse across the board. We're getting Christians in Israel, in Jerusalem, are not going to be able to do. They can't do their Palm Sunday events for the first time in centuries. And then we don't know what's going to happen next week with Easter. But yet, this is supposed to be great for Christians. And then you turn around and the Pope, the leader of the Catholic Church, is sitting here and being very critical of how the leader of the United States is acting. As Christians, it seems like there's a huge disconnect between what's going on with the leadership in the United States and Christianity. There's some conflict here. And so, because it's not just those two parts. It's a lot of folk. You hear a lot of folk nowadays who are sitting back here saying, yeah, the Christian thing to do is to, what the president is doing, he's supporting, Christianity and stuff like that. And these aren't Christian nationals. These aren't maybe evangelicals, but they're just other folk who have mixed their Christianity and their politics in together. And I think that those two things are related. And if you can't see it, if you couldn't see it before, you should be able to see it because of this war. That this has nothing to do with Christian values. This has nothing to do with Christianity. This is not what a Christian president would be out here just causing death for no reason. Another comment. Oh, here we go. Therefore, as Christians, do we have an obligation to support Israel? Yeah. That and that's what a lot of people think. That for some reason, as Christians, we have an obligation to support Israel. For me, in my opinion, it's absolutely not. Absolutely not. There is no connection between the state or country of Israel, depending on how you look at it, and Christianity. They're no different from any other country. They're no different from any other group of people. There is no special situation there. Now, Jerusalem, definitely, you call it the Holy Land, and there's different historical aspects to the location. But when you talk about the state of Israel, when you talk about that governing body, no, we don't have to support them at all. Like when they're doing their foolishness of murdering people, and I'm going to be clear with that. The state of Israel that murders people. We don't need to support that. The United States got caught up, or the president of the United States got caught up trying to be like Israel and saying that, if Iran didn't do what we wanted them to do, then he was going to blow up their water plants. Their plants that kind of cleans up the water because it's tough for them to get water out there. It's got a lot of salt. So they're the water plants that takes the salt out of the water so that people can have water to drink. Yeah, we were going to attack those. And then we were going to attack their energy infrastructure. The energy that electricity and everything that goes to just regular civilians. They said, if you don't do what we want to do, we're going to attack those. Now, those are war crimes. You're not allowed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. If you're a good country, you don't do that. Those are war crimes to try to attack things for civilians. civilian infrastructure, as they call it. And so the president of the United States is just putting out here, hey, we're going to do war crimes. Well, that's something that Israel does. Israel kills journalists, and they just did it. They literally just killed journalists and then they say, well, these journalists were spies, and then they aim for hospitals and schools, and then they always claim, well, there were some people hiding bombs in the schools, or there were some bad guys hiding behind the kids in the hospitals and the kids in the schools. They always have excuses for why they're aiming and shooting and killing civilians. And so the United States, or let's not say the United States, the Trump administration got caught up in that, trying to be like Israel, trying to make sure that they do war crimes and they kill civilians and people who are not involved in any of these conflicts between old men. And because they're using this fallacy of somehow that Israel and the United States, that we're connected because of Christian values. No, as Christians, we have no obligation at that, in my opinion, none, to support Israel. Israel is a criminal country that consistently does criminal behavior, in the sense of they are killing people. When they get attacked, they attack back, but they are going to attack civilians. They are going to kill civilians indiscriminately. Even right now in Iran, when they're talking about a lot of the schools that got hit and the hospitals that got hit, the general consensus, I don't know this for facts, but the general consensus is that most of those were Israeli bombs, because that's what they do. They attack civilian infrastructure. And so, no, again, as Christians, I don't think not even that we have an obligation to support that. I don't think we can support that. We can't sit back and really call ourselves Christians and sit back and support a country or a government that intentionally kills innocent people, intentionally kills civilians, intentionally tries to target civilians. And so, yeah. Also, we're called to be Christians, not Jews. Love your enemies, pray for your enemies. Absolutely. And that's another reason. And so as Christians, I think we're really just hitting it. All these comments are just hitting on it. I think that there's a responsibility here when we're looking at this war. And the good part about it here is, in the United States, it appears to be that it's not popular at all from the polling. And a lot of people have turned their back on this president and this administration based on the war. But as Christians, this is not the kind of thing we can do, especially for no reason. Like, there's no reason. It's not like we're defending ourselves. We're not protecting anything. We know how this goes with these lies and these stories. They were getting ready. They had a nuclear weapon and they were getting ready to use it. That's what the president actually said today. He said if we hadn't gone in, they had a nuclear weapon and they were getting ready. They would have already used it by now. The first, come on now. Last year, in June of last year, supposedly we took out their nuclear program. And there is no, let me put it this way. If we blew up their nuclear facilities and all their nuclear stuff again this year, then why are we stating that we don't know where their nuclear stockpiles are? How come we need the general consensus that we have to send in ground troops to find it? So then what are we doing? If they had a nuclear weapon that they were about to use, why we don't have any better intel about where the stuff is, what's going on? We just know that they had something. It's because all of that is just a mess. We just wanted to go, and instead of loving our enemies and praying for our enemies like we were supposed to do, we're just going in there and we're just trying to kill. And the sad part about it is it's a bunch of people. I believe that there are people in Congress and there are people who are leaders across this country, Christian leaders. But the problem is that they've decided that they're going to follow politics more than their Christianity, or follow this president more than their Christianity. And they didn't speak out against it, not in any kind of significant manner. And that's the problem. If this president wants to claim to support Christians so much, and support Christianity so much, and at some point Christianity should be able to talk back to him and say, well, that's not how we do, and that's not how we act. And you're not getting that for the most part. The best you're getting from some of these Christian groups that supported the president is you're getting silence. They don't have enough courage to speak out against, but at least they have stopped a little bit of their speaking for. They've gotten silent. But again, that's not good enough, because if you're gonna talk loud and be wrong, then you need to talk loud and be able to correct that wrong. Just as loud as you were when you were being wrong is as loud. You need to be twice as loud when you're trying to correct that wrong, when you're trying to apologize, or when you're trying to come back and you're trying to say, all right, I need to fix this error. And that's not what we're getting from them. And that's, you know, can't expect that. That would be like having some character and having some more. The only country we need to be concerned with in regards to using the nuclear or atomic weapons is the United States. They are the only country who has ever used atomic weapons. Yeah. At the end of the day, the United States is the only one. Use it twice. Use it on people. Other folk have done nuclear tests. Other people have done, have blown up nuclear bombs, or, blown up bombs with nuclear capabilities in waterways to kind of show that we got it and we could do something. But the only ones who are actually going to use it on people, that was us. That was the United States. And that's the only one that should be worried. We're the one who's stockpiling and has enough nuclear bombs to destroy the whole entire planet. That's us. And the reality of the matter is, we're the one with the least stable leadership. As much as we want to talk about some other leaders and what they can do and how they were supposed to be terrorists and bad and doing all these things, they're not going to other countries and just killing folk. Russia, United States. We're the only two out here, and Israel, of course. Russia, United States, and Israel, who all got nuclear weapons and all got unstable leadership, who all want to just try to run the world and kill people, civilians, for whatever reason. And so, yeah, that's what we should be worried about. We can't be worried about Iran and Iraq. We're worried about all these other different countries. Most of them don't even have the capability to, because they don't spend all of their money and all of their gross domestic product on war, weapons of war, like we do. They don't even have the capability to attack us, the United States. They haven't invested in the type of bombs, the long range missiles that can get all the way over here. So why are we, so big and bad that we want to, just get all in their stuff over here? And again, I understand it. People, there's a lot of different, it's a lot of layers to this, because you're sitting back and you're looking at Iran and you're looking at some of the things that they've done to their citizens, killing some of their citizens and doing other little harmful things. They're supposed to be a sponsor of terrorism, as we've stated. So there's a little bit of complexity there, but at the same time, they were that last year and the year before and the year before. And so the question is, what has changed now when you decided that we need to just bomb and blow things up? Another comment. I don't think Trump is too far from actually using the nuclear weapon on Iran, just to see what it will do. The only reason I will say is, as much as I think that we have a lot of cowardly people, a lot of weak people in the administration, a lot of weak people in the government, a lot of weak people, and it's not sound bad, but a lot of weak people, weak-minded people in the military. I don't think that they're that weak that they're going to allow a nuclear weapon to go. So as much as he wants to go ahead and say, yeah, I want to do this, yeah, give me the like they do in the movies, give me the red phone so I can go ahead and push the button. At that point, I do think cooler heads would step in. Article 25, the 25th Amendment, or whatever else you want to envision it happening. As much as he may want to, I don't think he has the ability to. It is as much as it's almost unchecked power. There are a couple of people in there who, let's make it plain. There are a couple of people in there who are not cowards, total cowards. And there's a line that it gets to of where they finally step up, and I think that's the line. I would be surprised any other way. So I don't think that's a threat. I do think it's a threat, but I don't think it's as much as a threat that can actually occur. Yeah. All right. So we kind of just blew past our time. So just one of the things, just as Christians, with how we look at this war, and how we look at this situation, and how we look at what's going on. As Christians, um, let's see what's being said by people like the Pope about the fact that as we're going into Easter, we have to remember that as Christians, we are Christians and supposed to be Christ-like, and we're not looking for war and looking to hurt people and harm. But we're looking to love one another, and we're looking for peace and loving for our enemies and as well as our brothers and sisters. And so it should be a conflict for anyone who supports this administration. I'm not saying support the country, but really supports this administration and what they're doing. Anyone right now who can call themselves a Trump supporter, you really have to look at whether or not who do you serve. Because I truly believe, and I've said this for a long time, that there are no Christians that are MAGA. There are no Christians who are Trump supporters. I truly believe that. There are people who believe in God. There are people who go to church. But if you're trying your best to follow the word of God, then I do not believe that you can be following behind somebody who has no desire to follow any of the words of God. And so you got to pick. You got to pick and choose. Be hot, be cold. Got to pick one. And so you're either a Christian or you're not. And MAGA is not. Trump is not. Trump supporters got to see what you're gonna be and what you're gonna do. But that's just my opinion. But that's how we got to look at this whole entire thing. We're looking at the war, we're looking at our support, and looking at what we're going to do. All right, that's it. I appreciate all the comments. That was good. I want to remind people again on Thursday we will have Thursday our weekly Bible study. That's at 7:00. On Sunday, Easter Sunday, we will have service here at 10:00 Eastern Standard Time. Facebook, YouTube, and in person. And on Tuesdays at 7, we have a time of prayer from 7 to 7:45. Oh, there it goes. A great comment, and that's for all of us, people who believe in God, and as Christians, we got to think about where we're going. And as the comment said, Trump said he's probably going to hell. And the question is, are we going to go with him? Are we going to sign up to go with him? At no point in time, at no point in time, he said it. He said he doesn't ask for forgiveness. He doesn't. He's not a churchgoer. He doesn't know the word, but he knows he's not doing right, and that's why he makes these comments. So the question is about us, about what you are going to do, what I'm going to do. And so we're going to follow him to where he's going, or where he thinks he's going. All right. That's a great comment. All right. Well, that's it. Thank all the comments that came in. Thank everybody for joining us. And again, join us again. If you do want to join us actually physically on the show, or you have any comments, please feel free to call and leave a message, or email us and tell us what you want to talk about. So thank you again, and have a good one.
Sometimes you'll want